When you have stress, play chess. When you fall on your ass, play chess for a real deal, for Christian Seal.
Welcome. Today I will talk about the Japanese shogi player Yoshiharu Habu and his steps in the chess world. First of all, what is shogi? Well, shogi is the Japanese type of chess, which is similar to normal chess, but as in Crazy House, you can reinsert the pieces from your opponent which you have captured. So different from Crazy House, you have a board which is a 9x9 board, and the pieces on the board are also on average a little bit weaker than the regular chess pieces. So this makes it a little bit less direct than Crazy House, but it's definitely much more tactical than the regular normal chess. Second, who is Yoshiharu Habu, or Habu-san, as he's also referred to? Well, this is an absolute legend of the game, one of the best players to ever play it, definitely the best player in the last 30 years to play the game. And he also played a little bit of chess. So I think he never really seriously studied chess that much, but he played in a couple of tournaments and he did amazingly well. So his playing strength in chess is around 2400, even though he never really seriously played chess. Yeah, what more can I say about shogi? So I was considering to make a video about that as well. I will not do that, and the main reason is that there is amazing material on shogi around for beginners, and this is by the Japanese amateur player Hidechi Tomohide Kawasaki, who made a lot of effort to bring the Japanese game to the Western world. I should say with a lot of success. So nowadays, many of the strong chess players, for instance, Peter Heine Nielsen or Maxime Bachir-Lagrave, they also tried shogi, and I think they all like the game a lot. So yeah, without further ado, I will jump into my meeting with Yoshiharu Habu, and this was in Zurich 2005. And we met because we played a Blitz game against each other. And it was quite interesting in the sense that it taught me a lot about his style of playing chess. So remember, he has now like this kind of chess education that most strong players have. So it's quite interesting to see somebody who is that talented and that strong in calculating how he would approach the chess game. So he played the move e4 in that Blitz game. I will just show you the first moves because I think it's quite interesting. I played my pet line, the Philidor defense, the Antoshin line of the Philidor defense. Knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3, bishop e7. Yeah, so I think he was already out of book at this point, and he came up with the following line. So he played bishop e2, castles, and now most people in this position a castle as well with black and with white, and then we just get a normal Philidor position. Yet he showed his very aggressive intentions early on by playing g4 in this position. So quite obviously, it's on objective grounds a little bit too early to do that. And I answered with d5, after which like a really sharp position ensued. But in the game, he managed to beat me, and I think this was mainly because he could drag the game into the territory where calculation was very important, and this obviously favored him. So in chess, he also prefers to have positions which require precise calculations. And yeah, this was just one illustration in the Blitz game. I also talked to him a bit after the game and also in the closing ceremony. And it was yeah, just a pleasure to talk to him. And I did not realize at the time that this was such a big honor to interact with him because he's this kind of a huge legend and huge star in Japan. So let me jump to the game that I want to talk to you about. And this is a game which Habu-san played against the English Grandmaster Peter Wells. And Peter Wells opened the game with a move d2 to d4. And yeah, Habu-san went for the Meran as black. So this is characterized by these opening moves, 6, e3, knight bd7. So this is kind of semi-Slav / Meran structures. Peter Wells played bishop d3, and Habu took on c4 and played b5. So this is like the starting position of the Meran. White now has different options. I think the most popular one is probably bishop d3, but Peter Wells chose in favor of the move bishop e2. And now black has the option to go bishop b7 or b4 immediately, which is what Habu did in the game. And after knight a4, the normal line here goes bishop b7 right now. But he played the move bishop d6, after which basically the game is already off the trodden paths, and now kind of a freestyle battle ensues. Well, objectively, the move bishop d6 has some drawbacks, and the main drawback is that white could now go queen c2 to put pressure on c5 and maybe on c6, and maybe later on go knight c5 himself. But in the game, Peter Wells had another idea, which looks very promising and very interesting at first sight, but which is not the strongest move in the position. So he went for the move e4. Well, doesn't e4 just blunder a pawn? Well, we're going to see that in the game. So Habu-san took on e4. White went for queen c2. And now the idea is clear. So white attacks the knight and the pawn on c6. So Habu defended the knight with a move f5. Of course, this is very risky what black does here, because now you give up the c6 pawn and you also weaken the king. But black has a quite concrete idea. So first of all, in case white was to go for queen c6, black can just go rook b8. And yeah, now black probably threatens to go bishop b7, and the game gets like really, really complicated. So after f5, the English Grandmaster decided to go for the move knight to g5. And this makes the game even more crazy. And here, probably objectively, the move knight df6 would have been the best, but Habu decided for a very interesting exchange sacrifice, which puts a lot of pressure on white. So Habu took on g5. Now the idea of Peter Wells was to take on c6, thereby attacking the rook on a8 and the bishop on d6. And I guess he now expected that in case black goes rook b8, saving the rook, queen d6. Now white is just a lot better because black has no compensation, is not even material up here. And you can just see that black has a lot of weaknesses. This knight is loose, this rook is loose, and white is just almost winning. Thus, instead of doing that, Habu went for the move knight to e4, which sacrifices the exchange. So Peter Wells took on a8, and Habu castled. Yeah, now black is just a clear exchange down, but there is quite some counterplay. So white played queen c6, the most logical move to get the queen back into the game, and black responded with the move knight df6. Yeah, and here I think is the last point where objectively white was probably better. If white played a careful move like maybe castles or maybe queen c4 or something like this. But Peter Wells thought that he can directly punish this move knight df6, which also looks to be the case at first glance, definitely. And he played the move f3, which is a mistake. Let me mention that already here, Habu could have gone for the motive which appears in the game, but I think he didn't see it yet. But I don't want to spoil it at this point, so I will just show you how the game continued. He played the move bishop d7. White played queen a6, and he took on a4. And white took back on a4. So now maybe you can pause the video and you can try to find the best move for black. Well, the best move, and actually the only move which is not losing for black, is the move, an amazing resource spotted by Yoshiharu Habu, probably already some moves in advance, namely the move bishop takes h2. An absolute shocker. So I think when you see this position for the first time, you will probably still be under the impression that somehow this is not going to work for black. So let's have a look at a few lines. So what happens if white takes f takes e? In this case, black just goes bishop g3 check. And let's say after king f1, black can just go queen d4 and threaten mate on f2, which white cannot parry anymore. So therefore, after bishop g3 check, in case white goes king d1, similar stuff, queen takes d4, bishop d2, yeah, and now different moves win for black. So for instance, one could take on b2, or one could also go rook d8 followed by knight e4. And in any case, white is defenseless against this onslaught by the super active black pieces. So you could say, okay, f takes e doesn't work. What is the other logical move in the position? Well, this is probably the move rook takes h2, and this is the move which was played in the game. Yeah, Habu took on d4, sacrificing another piece, and white took the knight on e4. Yeah, and now probably you might have expected the move queen g1 check with the sequence queen g1 and then queen takes h2, which leads to still a pretty unclear position. Yet Habu found a much stronger resource in the move knight takes e4, still playing for activity. So I think this is also where you can see this shogi style, that even though you can win material back, what you often do in chess, shogi players still go for the initiative. Yeah? So in shogi, the initiative is even more valuable than in chess, and therefore they, or in this case, Habu adapted this attitude and skill to chess. Well, knight takes e4, again based on very precise calculation. And the problem is, at this point, white is almost defenseless against black's threats. So if white somehow defends the bishop on e2, let's say by queen d5, then black can really go for queen g1 check and capture the rook with an even better version than what we have seen previously. And if white plays the most principled move, which is to go back with the rook to h1, then black goes for queen f2 check. And that's what happened in the game. King d1, rook d8 check, king c2, queen takes e2 check, and it might appear at first glance that king b1 is saving the day, because now after queen d3 check, white can go queen c2. But here again, you can pause the video and you can find the very beautiful final touch to that game. Yeah, so the final touch is the move knight c3 check, extremely beautiful. White is forced to take, and black takes back, simply takes back with a pawn. And now black is a rook and a bishop down, but he threatens the move rook b8, which basically mates white, and white is defenseless against that. If white was to prevent that, for instance, by going queen takes a7, then queen d3 is made. So in the game, white played the move bishop a3. Habu responded with the move rook b8 check, and now you can see white's dilemma. If you go bishop b4, queen b2 is made. If you go king c1, queen d2 is made. So the only option is to give up the queen with queen b3. But again, Habu did not take the queen, but played for the initiative and for the mate here by using his queen d3 check, king c1, queen d2 check, and Peter Wells resigned. So the game would have concluded with the move king b1, c2 check, king b2, and c1 queen mate. Wow, what a game! Extremely beautiful, also extremely impressive that as somebody who's not playing chess professionally or not even dedicating a lot of time to chess, you can play that well. So if you're curious about Shogi, again, the best thing you can start with is to take a look at the video series of Hidechi, of Tomohide Kawasaki, who also helped me a great deal in improving my Shogi, both through the video series and as we met a couple of times when he was in Germany. At this point, also shout out to Koji, who explained the basics of Shogi to me and who also spent a lot of time with me and helping me with improving my Shogi, which was an absolute pleasure. And yeah, thanks a lot to both Tomohide and Koji. I hope you liked the video. I also hope I sparked your interest in Shogi, and see you soon.